are back with a brand new video. In today's video, we're going to be reacting to ESPN's new mock draft, which came out 2 days ago post the Christian Wood trade. Like I said, I made my mock draft, my last mock draft before the Christian Wood trade, so the Rockets were not picking at 26 in my last mock draft. So we're going to be reacting to ESPN's mock draft. Jonathan Givony, who is a draft expert. I'm pretty sure all you guys know him if you guys are draft heads. Jonathan Givony is a very well-known name in the draft network, especially for NBA. And yeah, we're going to be reacting to this one. It's probably my second to last draft video before the draft is officially going to happen on Thursday. I will be publishing my final mock draft sometime next week in a couple of days here and there. Maybe a couple of days before the draft is when I'm going to put out my final mock draft. I'm almost done with them. Still working on a couple more picks, but you guys will get that out. You guys will get that for sure. But let's react to ESPN's mock draft. I'll try to not spoil as many picks as I can. Hopefully it's like staggered, so like none of the picks are just given away, but let's get right into it, man. So the Orlando Magic, now it looks like these picks will be spaced out, so it's good. They got him selecting Jabari Smith Jr. out of Auburn. I think this is what's going to happen in real life. Now, is this my pick for the Orlando Magic? I mean, as of right now, no. I've been gone with Paolo for a lot of my mock drafts to the Magic. I've been a Paolo fan. I think Paolo is the number one prospect in the draft. I think he's the best player in the draft. I think he has the most offensive upside in the draft. But you cannot go wrong with Jabari. I'm a huge Jabari fan too. I was actually a Jabari fan before I was a Paolo fan because I kind of I didn't predict him to be this good, but I predicted him to take a jump this year or coming into last year's college season. So I am close to Jabari, but I just think that Paolo is the best player in the draft. But Jabari at number one, you cannot go wrong with him. He'll provide a lot of shooting for them that their young core is kind of lacking. In the front court, I think you can pair him alongside either Wendell or Mo Bamba, but I think Mo Bamba is going to leave anyway, so I think it might be Wendell that you pair him alongside, and that's a good front court for the future, man. I think the Magic are setting themselves up well for the future. I don't think Jabari Smith is going to fall below 2. I think if he's not taken at 1 in real life, I think he will go at 2 because a lot of the discussion has been talking about Paolo at 3. And like there was a tweet after the Christian Wood trade talking about I think Woj or something put it out, or he might have retweeted it, but it was like the Rockets are preparing themselves for either Chet Holmgren or Paolo Banchero at 3, so they kind of know that Jabari Smith is a lock for either 1 or 2 at this point. But he goes number 1. Number 2, as expected, the OKC Thunder take Chet Holmgren. Yeah, this is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, they definitely need that backline rim protection. I think this is one of the best fits for Chet Holmgren. I think the playmakers that OKC has really allows Chet to just play his role effectively. Doesn't have to worry about too much scoring and stuff like that because they have some guys who can put the ball in the basket already, like Shea and Trey Mann and people like that. They also have playmakers like Giddey. I just think they need some defense. They definitely need some shooting, which I think can be addressed with their 12th pick if they get a guy like later down the draft or someone like that. But you can definitely address shooting down the line in the later end of the first round or even with the 12th pick. But at number 2, Chet Holmgren is definitely the dude to take here. So I'm gonna go Chet Holmgren. ESPN's gonna go Chet Holmgren. So I do like the selection. At 3, I'm probably expecting Paolo, and it is Paolo at 3. Again, I do not want to spoil many picks here. I don't know why I went down, but Paolo at 3 I think is very self-explanatory as well. I mean, you just take the guy who's not taken, and Paolo is that dude. And I think Paolo offensively, I think he's the best offensive player in the draft. I think he has the most potential to become a go-to guy in the draft down the stretch of their careers. I think Paolo will have the most likely chance to become a number 1 option on the team, especially if you're trying to contend for a championship. I think the offensive game between him and Jalen Green would be really, really nice, man. I think the pick and roll with him and Green would be unstoppable, and I think that team would be so fun to watch, especially with Green's. Jalen Green is a highlight reel anyway, but adding Paolo onto that is just crazy. Paolo's a very good playmaker too, very underrated passer. Defense is the only question mark. I'm not a huge fan of that front court defensively with him and Şengün, but I think they'll make it work. But yeah, this team will put up points on the board if Paolo's taken at 3, and I think he will be. I think that's kind of been, unless things change from now on Thursday, I think the wave here has been Paolo to the Rockets at 3, and I think Rockets fans will be ecstatic with a guy like that. At 4, man, the Kings are on the clock, and Jonathan Givony did it. He took Jaden Ivey at 4, best player available. The fit is clunky. I'm not gonna lie, the fit is not the best with him and De'Aaron Fox in the backcourt. But he's the best player in the draft. Sorry, not the best player in the draft, the best player available in the draft. And I do think that if you're the Kings, some might say you just need to go take the best player with how poverty your franchise has been. There has been reports. I'm pretty sure if you go down right here, the owner of the Kings is actually a big fan of Keegan Murray. And there are also reports that Jaden Ivey does not want to be selected to Sacramento, which I cannot blame the guy. Like forget the fact that it's Sacramento and that the Kings are one of the worst organizations in the NBA. And Kings fans, please do not take that as disrespect, because it's just facts, bro. Like y'all haven't done nothing for the past how many ever years, but forget the fact that it's Sacramento. It's just the fit is not great at all either. You're going to go to Sacramento, play with Fox, who I think is pretty similar to Jaden Ivey as far as need to have the ball in their hands. Not the best shooters off. They're definitely better going downhill. Off ball is kind of question mark with either of them. Davion Mitchell is more of the same. Davion Mitchell is not like an elite shooting guard or anything like that. He's a good player, obviously, but he's definitely not a shooter. A bona fide shooter. He can shoot the ball, but he's not like a shooter in my opinion. But the fit is clunky, but if you want to go with the best player available, you cannot go wrong with Jaden Ivey. I just hope for his sake he does not go to Sacramento, because I do want him to flourish. I do not think Sacramento is the place for him. At 5, we got Detroit selecting Keegan Murray. I think Keegan Murray is a very underrated player, man. I think a lot of people are looking at him as like I've seen people saying he's the Obi Toppin of the draft. I don't like the comparison. I mean, I guess the only reason they're saying that is because of the age, but he doesn't play anything like Obi Toppin, bro. Like, he plays so different from Obi Toppin. This dude is a bucket getter. I think that, if he wasn't so old, you might have an argument for him being the number 1 overall pick if he wasn't 21, almost 22 years old. So, this dude is a very, very high IQ player. He's a low maintenance player. He does not really demand much. He's gonna go out and hoop, man. And I think that's the best part about his game. He's just he just goes out and takes care of his business and comes back home and just chills and goes out the next day and kills it on the court again. So it reminds me a lot of Tobias Harris. I think he'll fit well in Detroit if this is the selection. Jeremy Grant is starting to become a little bit expendable now, so you can kind of replace him with Keegan Murray in the front court if you want to. I do want to see Jeremy Grant moved on. I want to see Detroit try to get another pick, maybe the 7th pick from the Portland Trailblazers, which has been a rumor that I have been seeing. But I like Keegan Murray to the Pistons. I think Keegan Murray will probably be a top 5 pick, as if everything is indicating the right way. There's been a lot of indications of Keegan Murray going top 5. I don't think that's going to change, but we'll see. Come draft time, something might be different. But as of right now, I would say Keegan Murray looks like a top 5 pick based on all the reports and stuff. At 6, we got the Indiana Pacers, and he actually has him going with Ben Mathurin. Huge fan of this. He's my favorite player in the draft, as you guys may know. But Ben Mathurin, I think, is this absolute stud, man. I think the dude can play off the ball. He can play on the ball. Defensively, I think he's pretty slept on. I think overall he's pretty slept on, man. I think a lot of people put him into this Keegan Murray type class where it's like, he doesn't really have that high of a ceiling because he was a sophomore. But I mean, if you look at his age compared to Keegan Murray, he's almost like, what is he? Keegan Murray's 21.8. Ben Mathurin is 19.9. Like, Ben Mathurin is almost 2 years younger than Keegan Murray. He's only like 6-7 months older than Dyson Daniels and Chet. Like, he's not that old, especially for a sophomore. He's one of the younger sophomores in the draft. So I think, people look at him as a guy who's just a win now player and doesn't really have the potential as a lot of these other guys do. But I think he's definitely being underrated in that aspect. I think he has a lot of potential. There's a lot of untapped potential there. His game is not solidified yet. He does have some stuff that if he gets together, he can be a really good player. But I like the fit in Indiana. I like the backcourt with him and him and Tyrese. If you want to play him at the 3, play Duarte at the 2. I do not mind that. I think Malcolm Brogdon should be traded. Hopefully he will be, because I don't think he fits their timeline, but we'll see what happens with the Pacers and what they do. But I would love Ben Mathurin in Indiana. I really like that fit. At number 7, Portland Trailblazers here. They got him selecting Dyson Daniels. Not mad at this at all. I'm really not mad at Dyson Daniels to the Portland Trailblazers. I like Dyson Daniels a lot. I think he's been a riser. You know, a lot of people are in love with his size at the point guard / shooting guard position. He's a 6'8" guard basically, but he handles the ball a lot. He's not the most athletic, but I don't think he needs to be, because how he plays the game is very cerebral. The only problem with Dyson Daniels to me is the shot. I don't think it's as consistent as it should be. You know, he has improved it, and he showed some flashes of knocking them down in the combine. But during the G League season, his shooting mechanics were not the best. And I think if he puts that shot together, I mean, he basically has everything else. He's a very good defender. He's a very good playmaker. He's a good rebounder, obviously, and then he's just a high IQ player. So I think the only thing that's stopping him from getting to that next level is the shot. And I think once he puts that together, because I think he has a good work ethic, I think that when he goes to Portland, a guy like Dame can mentor him and stuff like that. I think the shot will come around. And I do think he's going to be a really good player in the league. So I like the Dyson Daniels pick for the Blazers. I would explore trading this pick if I'm Portland as well, though, just because you have Dame. Like, I don't know if you want to bring in a rookie, especially when you're trying to win right now. So if you want to win right now, I would explore trading this pick. But if you want to keep the pick, Dyson is not a bad option at 7 for sure. Number 8, we got the Pelicans taking Shaedon Sharpe. I mean, he's kind of fallen in this mock draft from Jonathan Givony. It makes sense how you take him, man. Just go and take a swing. You know, the Pelicans are in a position where they can afford to take a swing on a guy like this, because they're not in a position where they have to hit on a pick 100%. Like they've had really very good draft picks recently. Last year's draft was really nice for them, and even getting a guy like Jose Alvarado basically off the streets, like he was undrafted. And I do think that, you know, with their talent and guys like Zion and people like that, Zion coming back, I think they're in a position where they can just take a swing on one of the highest upside guys in the draft, and Shaedon Sharpe. And if it doesn't pay off, it's fine. But if it does, man, you got yourself a home run of a pick right here. So I like the fit with New Orleans, especially because they're a team that's already accelerated in their retooling process. So yeah, I like the fit with New Orleans. At number 9, we got the Spurs taking Jalen Duren. Good selection, man. I think the center position is something that they could address, especially with Jakob Poeltl being their starting center, who is very underrated in my opinion. But I think that, you know, you could try to upgrade or bring in a nice backup center, because I think they had Zach Collins running the backup 5. That's kind of a recipe for disaster. I like Jakob Poeltl a lot, man. I think Jakob Poeltl is very underrated, but I do also like Jalen Duren. Reminds me of a bigger Robert Williams. Can just clean up a lot of things defensively, offensively. He's just a very high athlete. I would love the fast break between him and DeJounte. So I like the fit in San Antonio. We'll see if this is what they do. Also, one of the youngest players in the draft, as you guys can see right here with his age. And yeah, Jalen Duren will go 9. They got Johnny Davis going to the Wizards at 10. Another huge fan of this pick. I like Johnny Davis to the Wizards. I think Johnny Davis is a guy that, I mean, like, the thing about Johnny Davis is that he hasn't really been talked about a lot. You know, this was a guy that was early into the season, people were giving him like top 5 pick buzz, but he's kind of cooled off. You know, his stock is cooled off. He's a good player, don't get me wrong. I just don't know if he's going to be successful, as successful as he was in college at the next level, because he takes a lot of tough shots, man. I think he relies on a lot of tough pull-up jumpers. His defense is going to be there. His defense is going to translate. It's just a matter of whether his offense will. And if it does, you're going to get yourself a really good player. So the Wizards definitely do need a guard. Johnny Davis is more of a 2 than a 1. But, I mean, with the uncertainty of Bradley Beal and stuff like that, he could also fit next to Bradley Beal, play off the ball a little bit. But even with Bradley Beal's contract under questions, Johnny Davis is a good pick for the Wizards. At number 11, they got the Knicks taking AJ Griffin. I guess you just take the best player available. I mean, it's a good pick, I guess, because, like I said, he's the best player available. They have a lot of wings, so they're gonna have to figure that out if they take AJ Griffin here. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with just taking a guy who's been projected to go. I mean, AJ Griffin has been projected a top 10 pick, and getting him at 11 is a good pick if you're the Knicks. So, good pick. At 12, they got the Thunder taking Ousmane Dieng. Another good pick in my opinion. I think Ousmane Dieng has very high upside. I think a team like the Thunder can afford to just, be patient with a guy like him, especially after taking Chet. You have a nice wing to develop now in Ousmane Dieng, and he has really high upside, Ousmane Dieng. So good pick if you're the Thunder. At 13, we got the Charlotte Hornets taking Jeremy Sohan. I think this is a very good fit for the Hornets. I think they do got to address the front court. Personally, I would go out here and secure my center. And in this mock draft, it's Mark Williams because Jalen Duren is already taken. But even if Jalen Duren fell, I've seen a lot of people saying that you can play your cards and assume that Cleveland's not going to take a center because they have Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen already in the front court. So they're not going to take a center. And I've seen a lot of people just saying, just wait until 15 to take a center and just take another guy. Like I've seen Ochai Agbaji's name. I've seen Jeremy Sohan's name. I've seen a lot of guys like even Malachi Branham. But I would be more in the camp of securing your guy, securing your center at 13. So, because you don't want to play those games, man, because even if Cleveland does not want to take a center or doesn't have to take a center, if you don't take a center at 13, Cleveland can just, field so many offers from other teams who might want to trade up to get Mark Williams or Jalen Duren, whoever's available, because then you're just playing a dangerous game because if one of those centers are available and if there's only, out of the two, like if one of them is gone, another team could just try to swoop in to 14 if you don't take the center at 13. So just secure your guy. And I think Mark Williams should be the pick here because he's not taken in this mock draft yet. Jalen Duren is gone. I think the Charlotte Hornets desperately need a center. So although I like Jeremy Sohan's fit a lot in Charlotte, I would definitely go with my center here at 13. They have the Cavs going with Ochai Agbaji. Very good pick. Like I said, I think it's between him and Malachi Branham. A lot of people lean towards Malachi because he's a hometown kid and stuff like that. But I like Ochai Agbaji a lot. I do like the fit in Cleveland, man. All he has to do is just catch and shoot. So him at 14 is nice. At 15, they got the Hornets taking Mark Williams. That's fine. Like I said, though, like in a real life situation where trades are possible, I think you should definitely take your guy at 13. Instead of waiting and trying to play with fire, because you do not want to mess around, especially with a team like the Cavs who's already rumored and trying to trade down anyway. So I would take him at 13. At 16, we got the Hawks taking Malachi Branham, another really good fit in my opinion. I think the Hawks and the Cavs are just going to take one of Ochai Agbaji and Malachi Branham and just keep flipping up. Like whoever the Cavs do not take, I think the Hawks will take between Ochai and Malachi. I think that's what I would do. As far as what I think they would do, we'll see what happens, but it's a good fit. Rockets have Tari Eason here. I really like the fit here. I had him going with the point guard in my previous mock drafts, but I think now that they have an extra first round pick, I think you can save your point guard for 26 and then go with, like, if Tari Eason is available, like, I'm pretty sure him or Ousmane Dieng will be available at this spot. So, I mean, Ousmane Dieng is gone, but right now in this mock draft, Tari Eason is available. I think you just got to take him and snag your wing here because the point guard class is not the best. So I don't think you should take a point guard at 17 if you have a 26th overall pick as well. So Tari Eason at 17 is a good pick. 18, they got the Bulls taking Jalen Williams. I'm not saying it's a reach, but I just don't think they need a guard or a wing right now. I think they need some front court depth. So I wouldn't take Jalen Williams here, especially when you have guys like EJ Liddell still on the board. So, they might just think that the Bulls just want to take a guy with high upside like that, but I just think they have to address front court question marks before anything else. 19, the Timberwolves select Walker Kessler. Don't really know why, unless you want to play Kessler and Cat together, which I do not like because Cat is already not the best defender on the perimeter, and playing him at the 4 would just make him even more exposed on that end. So I don't understand this pick by ESPN. At 20, they got the Spurs selecting Blake Wesley. Solid pick, especially because they didn't select a guard with their first pick at 9. They took Jalen Duren. So I like this pick. One of the best players available for sure, 100%. Nuggets selecting Ty Washington. Again, unless they're really worried about Jamal Murray's injury, I don't think there's any reason for you to select a guard. Especially, there has been uncertainty with Monte Morris, but Monte Morris is very quality. He's not like he's a free agent or anything. They're just talking about him being in trade rumors. But it's not like the Grizzlies situation, where the Grizzlies, I would understand if they took a point guard because Tyus Jones is a free agent. But the Nuggets, Monte Morris is, secured on that team unless he's traded or something. So I wouldn't go with Ty if I'm the Nuggets. I understand this pick. I understand Kennedy Chandler to the Grizzlies. I definitely understand that because I think Tyus Jones' uncertainty is definitely real. So I think this makes a lot more sense than the Nuggets pick. At 23, they got the Sixers selecting Jaden Hardy. Good selection. Just provides a lot more offense for them. I think they need guys who can just play that 3-and-D role well, though. I don't know if Jaden Hardy's going to accept that role. He's a chucker. He's a guy who takes a lot of shots, and he's a gunner, man. He just takes a lot of shots, and I don't know if you need a guy like that, especially when you have a lot of dudes in like Maxey and Harden. Even Tobias takes a lot of shots, and Embiid obviously takes a lot of shots. I just think you need a guy who fits his role, plays the 3-and-D wing position really well. And I don't know if Jaden Hardy's that guy, but he's a really good player. He's a really good prospect. At 24, they got the Bucks selecting Nikola Jovic. I mean, yeah, I guess so. I mean, he's a wing. I think they should address the wing position, but Nikola Jovic cannot defend anyone, bro. Like, that's why I'm not a huge fan of his game. Like, I like his offensive game a lot, but like, I just don't know who he's gonna defend at the next level. Like, he's a 6'10" guy or 6'11". ESPN says. I think he's 6'10", but maybe they measured him as 6'11". He's a 6'10", 6'11" guy. But defensively, he's not going to be able to guard anyone. Like, whether it's a guard, wing, big, like, there's no way he's going to guard at the next level. So that's the biggest question mark I have about Nikola Jovic. At 25, they got the Spurs selecting EJ Liddell. It's a good pick, man, especially because I think this is great value. EJ Liddell is I think EJ Liddell should be a top 20 pick. I'm a huge fan of EJ Liddell's game, and the fact that the Spurs get him at 25 is a very good. It's a very good pick here because I think, he'll fit that winning culture that San Antonio is trying to establish, especially with Greg Popovich there. That's the exact type of player that he would love. So I like EJ Liddell at 25. At 26, they got the Rockets going MarJon Beauchamp. I would go with Dalen Terry here because I think they should address that point guard position, but I could agree with MarJon Beauchamp a little bit. I just don't like the spacing with him and Eason already, so I would go with Dalen Terry, even though Dalen Terry is obviously not like the best shooter, but I think he's a better shooter than Beauchamp. But yeah, I would go with Dalen Terry if he's still available, which he is because he hasn't been taken. They actually have Dalen Terry going to the Heat at 27. So yeah, if I was the Rockets, I would take Dalen Terry at 26. I would snag him right now because I think the point guard position is something you definitely need to address, especially because you went wing with the 17th pick, you went forward with the 3rd pick. So I think you need to address the point guard position. I think MarJon Beauchamp could fit the Heat really well, though. I think if you just flip these 2 picks, I'm a huge fan of this. Just have Dalen Terry going to the Rockets, have Beauchamp going to Miami. Beauchamp will just fit the Heat's culture. I just think that, his toughness, his story is incredible. Where he came from. He's an underdog. I think the Heat love those type of players. And that's first and foremost. So the Heat, I think the Heat would love Dalen Terry as well, but I think the Rockets should snag a guy like him. I think Beauchamp would be the pick for the Heat for me. So, yeah, the Rockets are. Not the Warriors are up on the clock. They got them selecting Jake LaRavia. Good pick. I think he's a very high IQ player. Could definitely help them. Congrats to the Warriors for winning the championship. By the way, they've really surprised a lot of people before the season. I don't think a lot of people predicted the Warriors to win the championship, and they just came out and showed why they were the best team in the playoffs this year. So, Jake LaRavia could just go out there and just fit a team like the Warriors, man. I just think the Warriors have a lot of guys that still have to develop, like Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody and James Wiseman. But Jake LaRavia could just be in that same class of players. And after the Stephs and the Clays and the Draymonds, after they start to fade away, you have this new generation of Warriors. They're building a great team, not just for the now, but also for the future. So you got to give a lot of credit to Golden State, Bob Myers, Steve Kerr. They've just been building the right way, and they just have one of the best front offices in the NBA. Like nothing but praises to the Warriors, defending champs right now. So yeah, they're at 28. At 29, the Grizzlies are selecting Caleb Houston. I actually do not mind this a lot. I actually do not mind this at all. I think that Caleb Houston is a very good player. I would probably go with like a Christian Brown or like a Patrick Baldwin over him, but Caleb Houston is a good fit as well. At 30, we got the Nuggets going with David Roddy. It makes sense. Colorado State. So obviously he's like going back to Denver. I guess it's kind of a homer pick for them, but he's a good player for sure. Definitely will address that wing/forward need. And that's the draft. Looking at some of the second round picks, they got Brown here. Trevor Keels, Wendell Moore. It's a very deep draft, man. I'm super excited for the actual draft day, which is Thursday. Like I said, the mock draft video will be coming very soon. Stay tuned for that. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. I'll see y'all later as always. Peace.